city, about half that focused about him. He also wrote something called the 1909 Chicago Plan, which reorganized the city in the years after the Great Fire. That's why Chicago has alleyways between the buildings. That's where maybe beer came from. That's why we're supposed to be 5, because the Burnham plant had 5 of those beers. It's how we ended up building the second one first. It's where the Riverwalk came from. We saw earlier that comes from Wolf Point all the way to the lakefront. That came from the 1909. It took us a while to get it built. It took us more time to get the river to the point that anybody would want to recreationally spend time near it. But it's also why Chicago was a great pattern to these roads. This wasn't here before the fire. I'm going to say the closest analog to what Chicago's roads look like before the Great Fire, or what Boston's roads look like now. And if you've ever been stuck in rush hour traffic out of Boston, we can make it work now. Well, this building here, the reason I wanted to talk about it until now is because this should make more sense now that we've actually traveled around this, because it's a map. That big wide strip in the middle, that's the Chicago River. You can recognize that Y shape up at the top, that's Wolf Point. The straight lines are the roads in the area. The red block in the middle, well,
it's the building.
You are here. That's the building's location on the map on the side of the building. And no, there's not a smaller map drawn on the side of that little red block. I have checked. On the right, this large limestone building is the old main branch of Chicago's post office, finished in 1932. When it was finished, it was the largest post office on Earth. It needed to be a post office. Had a massive amount of mail coming in. It's even built over the railroad tracks to allow for loading and unloading directly onto train cars from the post office. Because at the time, Chicago was the mail order capital of the world. Sears and Roebuck and the Montgomery Ward were based here in Chicago, so colossal amounts of mail were going out on a daily basis. Sears used to ship entire unconstructed houses through the mail. Eat your heart out, IKEA. For our younger passengers, the mail order catalog used to be these big stacks of paper that we had that had stuff you could buy. It's like an analog Amazon and stack of paper by the side of the phone. The phone book in these things used to have numbers. Old day down that rabbit hole. But the post office was closed in 1996. By that point, it had seen better days, had trouble keeping up with the volume of mail coming from Chicago. So it was closed down in 1996. It sat derelict for a number of years, about 20 years, falling apart. The owner at the time was sort of sitting on it, waiting for the real estate value to rise. Most notably, it did actually appear in the film The Dark Knight in the opening bank robbery sequence. The bank robbery is actually filmed in the old original lobby of the building, so it was largely used as a film set during that time. But several years ago, the gentleman who was sort of sitting on the property waiting for it to increase in value died. It was instantly sold and almost immediately renovated into an office building. So it is actually back to life. At this point, it contains Walgreens and main headquarters, as well as Uber's regional headquarters. But mail kept coming, even though the old place was closed in 1996, so the post office had to build a brand new facility all the way over there on the right. Literally across the street from the old facility. I assume to avoid sending themselves a change of address form. Where would it go? That's the third worst joke on the tour, by the way. The other two are still coming, by the way. Buckle up. But this was done in 1996 by Knight Architects and the new main branch of the post office. It's built around truck shipping in the same way the old post office was built around train shipping, reflecting changes in modern distribution. The building is built to allow trucks to pull directly into the building. And you know how postal trucks are basically all the same size, almost like they're a standard postal truck? Well, if you're going to build entrances to that, you measure the height of those trucks beforehand, right? Right? Well, clearly none of you work for Knight Architects, because the entrances they made were about 2 inches too short. Not enough to scrap the whole building and start over again, but enough to kind of sheepishly chisel off a little bit just to allow trucks inside of the building. But it is important to remember stuff like that, because we've talked a lot about these sort of grand achievements in architecture. It is important to remember not everything comes out perfect the first try. You do make the occasional mistake. We still have yet to talk about the biggest blunder, one of the biggest architectural blunders in Chicago's history, a little bit later in the tour. Now, speaking of disastrous things in Chicago, coming up here on the right, once we pass this picturesque power transformer station, we're going to see a red and white radio tower off in the distance. Now, the tower's not a significant spot. It's not a significant structure. The spot it sits on is a little more significant. It sits roughly where we think the Great Chicago Fire of 1871 actually started. It actually started here, a little bit south and west of the downtown area, over here on the west bank of the river. Now, we don't actually know what the ignition source of the Great Fire was. probably never will because of the sheer destruction that followed. Probably you heard that story about this series cow taking over the Lambeth barn. It's a bunch of bull. That's too cool. But the O'Learys were largely innocent of any responsibility for the fire. The reason they got blamed is because of a newspaper called the Chicago Republican. They were investigating the cause of the fire. Not terribly hard. They found out the O'Learys were living in the area where the fire started. They were Irish immigrants. Obviously, it was their fault. They printed the name of the newspaper without doing any further research, essentially pinning the entire fire on them. They ended up getting death threats for weeks afterwards and had to move to California for fear of their own lives.
Wow.
Yeah, the song's not quite as cute when you hear what actually happened. Although, you know what's on the site of the O'Leary property now? The Chicago Firefighters Academy. We have a dark sense of humor when it comes to the fire. But yeah, roughly over somewhere here to the west of us here, that's roughly where the fire started. Now, the city, before the conditions that caused the fire more than anything else, the city was at the end of a 3-month drought, almost exclusively made of wood, and had grown from 300 to 300,000 in just about 40 years. Combine that with no zoning laws, there's no more